Hey there, it's me. I'm back from the dentist appointment, and what better thing to do after dentist appointment than, of course, do a World of Warcraft raid boss tier list, because what the heck, tier lists are fun to do. And you know what, if you don't like it, then you can leave, okay? I don't have any control over you. You know, you don't have to watch me rate, you know, Florendo the Furious. You don't have to do any of that. But if you desire, you can sit back, relax, or don't relax, and we're gonna rate some bosses. So, yeah, just rate every raid boss for the new this tier, Liberation of Undermine. Still my Warlock, of course, and raid with a new guild. With the new guild this tier, rated actually got Hall of Fame, so that's cool. Still don't have the mount though after multiple kills because this bastard just will not give me the mount. But eventually. The point is, you know, we're rating all these bosses at like mythic level, just let it be known. So yeah. Let's begin with, of course, the first boss, Vexy and the Gear Grinders. I think Vexy is kind of just whatever. I mean, it's a first boss, you can only expect so much. I think as long as I've rated Mythic, my favorite Mythic boss is probably the Dragon Kazara, I think is her name, from Aberris. But even then, you know, I think Kazara would be like an A. I don't think I've fought a first boss that I'd rank S tier. Granted, it's very hard to hit highs on a first boss. But, you know, I'm just being honest here. I'm gonna put the music down a little. It's a little loud for me, at least. And, yeah, Vexy, like, thematically the boss is really cool, of course. But that kind of goes with this whole raid in general. Thematically, Liberation of Undermine's amazing. But I mean, there's a damage up phase, which a lot of people like, but it's like, it's a really long damage up phase where you're not really doing anything except for dodging some swirlies, I guess. And the entire fight, all you're really doing is doing some soaks and running out if you get a black swirly. I don't know, it's just not very exciting. Now, granted, of course, you can make the argument that it's a first boss. Can you really make it particularly exciting? I don't know, debatable, but I mean, Vexy herself, you know, she's all right. I mean, this cape, I just realized this cape, though, does not, you know, now that I look about it, she looks like she has, like, random, like, Legion bracers on and, like, some cloak from, like, a Scarlet Monastery. Like, it's not really, the outfit isn't really going well, but the tank itself looks cool. But, yeah, I don't know, it's just not a very exciting fight. But it's not really particularly bad either. It doesn't really do anything wrong. The tank looks kind of cool, so whatever. We'll go ahead and put Vexy over here in B tier, because it's like, she doesn't do anything egregiously wrong. You know, B's like good boss, but and C would be like meh. D is awful. A is great. S is like one of the best bosses ever. So you're just a solid okay first boss. You don't do particularly anything great or bad. Second boss, we of course are gonna go to the Cauldron of Carnage. Another 2 boss, Godzilla vs. King Kong analog of sorts. And this boss is pretty good. I think it's comparable to my favorite second boss ever, which is, funnily enough, Aberris again. Aberris the Shadow Crucible, the Amalgamation Chamber from that raid, I think was an amazing second boss. Probably my favorite second boss ever by a decent margin. And this boss is comparable. You know, it's 2 bosses you have to keep spread apart, like those bosses. It's just the mechanics you're doing and stuff and whatnot aren't as exciting. You're mostly just dodging some swirlies and not much else. I feel like the mechanics you would get on Amalgamation Chamber in comparison where it was a little more fun. The intermission's pretty exciting, and again, thematically, it's really cool. You know, they're just in the middle, and then you're just dodging so much swirlies all the time. And I like dodging stuff, but I like Queen Answer. I like cool stuff to dodge, like unique, like web blades, like. Queen Answer's actually got up in my rankings quite a bit now, I think, now that I have some more stuff to compare it to. But that's besides the point. That's the last boss, for one. This is the second boss. Yeah, I think the intermission's pretty cool. The fact you have to swap every time is pretty fun. And, of course, for a lot of this raid in general, I have a Warlock bias. So, Warlocks have some pretty, you know, niche profiles. And, of course, 2 target spread cleave. I can blast as Destro or Affliction. I prefer playing Affliction on here. And it's just fun, of course, to do big damage. Let's be honest. Of course, that bias won't make me rate another boss that Warlocks are good at high, because that boss is bad. But this boss is good, thematically great, mechanically pretty good. It's just, it falls a little short of S tier, I think, because it's just, I don't know, it's missing something. Maybe if there's more, maybe if the stuff you were dodging wasn't mostly just swirlies, if there's something else going on, like baiting the dinosaur beam's pretty fun, and the fact you get pushed back by the bomb and they have to spread. I think the dinosaur is more, Florendo is more exciting than the fight than King Kong, than the gorilla. Gorilla really feels like you're just dodging swirlies and not doing much else. I also think the mythic mechanic could have been something way cooler, instead of just, you push these toys towards the center and then that's about it. So yeah. Third boss, Orc Reverb. So his voice lines are amazing. I mean, when you pull this guy, he's ready to throw down and have a great party, which I respect a great deal. Beyond that, this boss is kind of lame, I think. What's up, man? You have a good one. You bait these amplifiers, and then you have to, whenever you get these voltage circle mechanics, you have to go and break them and then soak them. And beyond that, you're just kind of you're dodging some stuff, as you do with every fight, and you're hoping the barrels spawn in good spots, so I can pad with a bunch of Malefic Raptures. But it's just kind of, I don't know, boring. This fight doesn't really do anything for me. It just feels like you do the same thing a couple times over. The intermission's kind of just waiting, because you can't even like optimize and try to like get damage off during the intermission. Like he just gets a shield for some reason, which I don't really get the point of that. Why does he get a shield during the intermission? Why couldn't you just make it so he can do damage, so there's at least some, I don't know, optimization there? Not that really matters, but I don't know. Again, I mean, he's a cool guy. I respect you, Rick, but the fight itself, just mechanically, is just kind of boring, and it's never really particularly exciting. D is like, I actively dislike the boss. C is like, he's kind of boring. It's not awful, but I don't really particularly look forward to the fight ever. So that's where you go. All right. Now we're getting to a controversial one. Styx Bunk Junker. So I think we beat this boss after it got one nerf. Because if you remember the Race to World first, this boss was nutso overtuned. And I think we got some prog in before the first nerf, if I remember. So we got to fight some of that version of the boss, and then I think we killed it after I got one, maybe two nerfs. This boss has probably got nerfed like 6+ times overall. Maybe that's an exaggeration, I don't know. The point is, this boss was wild, and most people hate it. I don't hate this boss. The Katamari Damacy ball rolling mechanic of collecting trash is actually kind of fun. Yeah, it's a bit janky, but once you get used to it, it is kind of fun. The problem is how it's, I'm ready to do my big implosion. I just cast a Tyrant. All my stuff is ready to go. And then I get the ball mechanic. And it's like, well, I just used my trinkets. Why'd you have to give me the ball that time? And the fact that the balls always like spawn when you would be using your cooldowns, it feels like, is pretty annoying. And it's like, you don't want to get the ball because you want to be doing the big damages. But I think you're guaranteed to get the ball once a fight. So yeah, that's just, the ball mechanic itself is kind of fun, and knowing what to avoid and what to hit, but it's also pretty annoying and visually noisy to the point where it can be hard to locate what you need to and stuff like that. But overall, and I can also do implosion padding on this fight, and having to prioritize, locating the bombshells, getting them off their things, and then all the other stuff. I straight up kind of like this boss. I'm gonna be real. I'm not gonna do something so crazy as to put it in like A tier, but I don't hate this boss, and I kind of like it, and because of that, it has to at least go in B tier. So I just realized I didn't switch the windows, but yeah, I'm putting Styx in B tier. I'm pretty sure most people hate this boss. I don't hate this boss. The main problem with this boss is that on farm, it's a pain, because even on farm when you're super overgeared, if a bomb explodes, you're dead. You're still gonna die. So bosses like that are kind of annoying, where even in late farm, especially with this turbo boost thing, and you still can't just roll over it, you still have to do the bomb mechanic. I feel like on late farm, it kind of feels like maybe you should be allowed to And maybe not. I mean, it kind of is the main thing in the mechanic, but yeah. Sprocket. So I can't really realistically rate this boss, I'm going to be real. Because I wasn't in on prog for it, because Warlocks and single target were kind of duty, kind of bad. So I got to do it once for... I got to do it, I think I have a tab. Yeah, I got to do it once. It's because you can see, which I was just hard focusing on, like, you know, trying to do the mechanics. All these other people have like hundreds of pulls of prog on here. So I only got to experience, you know, after the fact. And we killed it after like a few pulls on this. This is like the third re-clear or the second re-clear, or I don't know. Point is, so I got to experience, you know, I got to experience the boss, but not as much as other people did. And I could see there's some appeal here. It's mostly just kind of, it's almost like a mini court in a way. You know, you have red and blue spread apart, but you switch every on occasion, and you're dodging some shit, baiting some drills, and you have to go to these bombs and blow them up. That's the short version. You know, it's the only single target fight in the raid, which that alone gives it points. I think everyone on planet Earth likes single target bosses the most in raids, with maybe a little cleave. And I think that goes for me too. It's no Nyx as Princess Kaiveza, which, you know, that's a high bar. But did I ever switch to actually show him? I think I did. I don't know. My memory is not, it's not great. I'm going to put in B tier just to have respect for him being single target and being clearly like a pretty decent boss. I'm pretty sure most people put him in A tier, but it's just hard for me to realistically rate him. So, moving on. One-armed bandit. Oh boy. Wowhead, I think, rated this silly slot machine as, I think they've released an article that, like, data-wise, this is the hardest third to last boss ever released. Which I think it's just so funny how this, for the Spectators, the Race to World First, this raid has like a reputation of being easy. And then you have bosses like One-Armed Bandit and Mugsy that are like, nah, we're, or Styx even, and Sprocket, like these four, I think in particular, it's like, nah, that's just the Race to World First Watcher reputation, you know. That people, this boss had some heavy hitters. This boss is a heavy hitter. He does the big hit even. Thematically, I will say this boss is absolutely incredible. The voice lines for this boss are just amazing. I mean, that's the case with every boss, Mugsy as well. Like, my god, the voice lines are just so good for this raid. Like, pretty much every single boss here is just moi, except, of course, these guys, they don't talk. So, One-Armed Bandit. I'm biased Warlock, man. I'm Affliction. I'm playing Affliction on this fight. I can do big damage. That's, of course, buttons up a little for me. But beyond that, this fight is really annoying, especially on farm, man. Like, this boss on farm is a kind of a pain. It has this one mechanic where it shoots coins out, and if you graze it, like, it's like a shoot 'em up mechanic. If you don't know, like, in a lot of shoot 'em ups, like Toho or whatever, if you're near a bullet but don't let it actually hit you, you're just close to letting it hit you, it's called grazing, where you get, like, extra score. But you get extra score, so you want to get close to getting hit but not hit. This boss kind of has that, where you let the coins go by you. You get a damage boost if you're really close, but don't let it actually hit you. Problem is here, it feels kind of weird because you have to like let it roll by you fully. It feels like for you to get that buff. If you like get to it, the coin, and you're like in the middle of it, and it doesn't fully roll by you, just kind of roll by you, don't get it, and that feels kind of wrong and weird. It's like, okay, well, I kind of wanted to run over a bit to get this coin buff. It's like, oh, I just got it. Oh, actually, I didn't because I was like a millisecond too late to it fully roll by you. I don't know, that just feels kind of janky and annoying to me. Beyond that, you hope you don't get the dispel thing. Thankfully I can dispel myself with the imp, so it's not as bad for me. Honestly, it makes it a little more fun for me in that regard, because I don't have to wait for a healer to dispel me. So again, Warlock bias. Other than that, you get a lightning swirl, you go on the raid, yippee. You put the lightning thing shit out of the raid, and then you're just killing ads and stuff. Obviously, that makes it sound easier than it is. There's a lot of moving parts in this raid, than this boss. And the last phase, the whole rush part, it does admittedly feel hectic, and that's good. The fact that they actually made this hard and rage part actually feel hectic, and even on farm, it feels pretty hectic every time. So that part is kind of cool. There are parts of this boss that I do like, but it's also just really annoying at times, and just the way things move around. I'm not as good at describing why I don't like things. So that includes with this boss. Yeah, just the way the fight kind of comes together and the way it's... The fact that his damage stops. No one likes damage stops, so the fact that this boss can have damage stops. Yeah. And then mechanically, it's just, there's not a lot here that's really overall fun. So, but I don't actively like hate it like I think a lot of people do. So maybe it's crazy, but I'm gonna put it at the bottom of C tier, not D tier. I just don't actually hate this boss. Again, maybe it's Warlock bias because there's some things I can do on this boss and damage and whatnot. Maybe this boss is more annoying if you're another role, like if you're the hunter, constantly having to throw the coins, and thematically, this boss is also, of course, amazing, which helps a lot. The music stopped. But yeah. Now, the boss... Oh. I don't know how I did that. Now, a boss I don't like at all, for the most part, is Mugsy. Mugsy. Again, thematically, this boss is incredible. But my stupid-ass Fell Hunter, this stupid piece of shit, just constantly gets stuck in the cage walls, and then it's like, hey, why isn't the Galagio goon getting kicked? Oh, wait, I'm pressing kick. Why it's not going off? Because this bastard's stuck in the cage wall. Okay, make a pet attack macro, you say. I did. And guess what? So there was one time where I was watching this Fell Hunter attack the mob. I was clicking freaking spell log. It still wasn't going. I have to resummon the Fell Hunter, and then, only then, did he actually freaking, yeah. You can tell there's a story there. The point is, give Warlocks an interrupt that isn't tied to their pet, please, and thank you. Beyond that, whole thing, this boss is just kind of annoying. All the RNG swirlies, so much of this fight is just soaking bombs and hoping like someone, a swirly doesn't get missed. Not a swirly, a soak. And then you're just... For me, you know, I have to go in the soak, kill, and that part's really kind of fun, you know, avoiding Galagio Goon stuff and moving around, killing it, and then going out. But the whole line of sight cage mechanics, you know, Echo was the worst boss. Echo of Northera was the worst boss ever made, and now we have to do that kind of shit again. It's just, I just don't have to deal with it as directly because I'm in it. I'm in the cage every time. But a lot of it's just making, you know, people need to do their ice spears right, do their soaks right. The only part of the fight I really like is the intermission. The intermission's kind of fun because it's fast, it's hectic. You know, I can have one of the mobs while moving and stuff. There's some cool stuff to do there. And the last phase is also a little bit more fun and hectic. It kind of has everything combined into one. I still just don't particularly like this boss. I don't know if I should put it... I'm also biased because the first time we killed it, I was dead, which is annoying. But obviously that doesn't really matter. So I don't know. What do I rate him? D? What the? I just moved these. I don't know how I did this. And because of my dark mode, I can't freaking see. Oh, I probably clicked like one of these. Oh, well, we just... Whatever. Green is now C tier. I wouldn't say this boss is like some bosses I've hated, like Echo and Eltharion would be like F tier. I'm still going to put him in D tier though. Barely. He's not like a bad D tier. Maybe it's just because I want to make the tier list more spread out. So he gets to go in D tier. Intermission's cool. The last phase is kind of hectic in a somewhat good way. And his voice lines are amazing. So yeah, there you go. Chrome King Gallywix. So... Chrome King Gallywix is a pretty good last boss. Obviously, he's kind of has the reputation for being very easy for a last mythic boss. I think we killed him like 60 pulls, which is nuts. I think both One Arm Bane and Bugsy took like double the pulls that Gallywix did. The fight itself, a lot of people are saying it like it's actually a banger fight. It's a good fight. I think it's okay. I just don't think the fight does anything particularly incredible. I'm hearing strange noises. The first phase is pretty easy. It's just, you know, avoiding some blaze lines. Avoiding blaze lines is honestly like the weirdest part. Avoiding swirlies and whatnot. Get to do more havoc cleave stuff, which again, more fun warlock bias. And then of course you have the second phase, and the fact that's The fact that the entire fight's like mythic specific is kind of cool. The second phase being its own thing is pretty cool. But then the second phase, admittedly, once you actually get the second phase down and you like kind of get the dance down and you know where to stand every time, it becomes more fun. I do wish there's maybe like a little more going on. Like maybe he pulses out electric waves. You have to like weave between while there's swirlies or something like that. Like something fun to do. But another annoying thing is the bomb mechanic. Like most people just aren't interacting with it. And you just hope that the person holding the bomb doesn't die. And it feels like that's the hardest part of the second phase, just the bomb people not dying. Which is, it's just kind of a weird mechanic. Like why? I don't really like that, because it's basically saying like, hey yo, it's another one person screws up, the whole raid blows up. No one really likes that, and Gallywix has that. I feel like a lot of people just aren't talking about it as much, because you usually give the people who are good at not dying the bombs. So yeah, I don't know. I wasn't not a particularly big fan of that. It doesn't do anything egregiously bad though. I just can't bring myself to rate Gallywix super high. I think now I have Ansarek to compare it to. It's not even about Ansarek being harder. I think Ansarek I actually just think is a way more cool and fun boss overall than Gallywix. Like mechanically and what you're doing. The fact that you're going up the platforms and the web blades and the intermission being so crazy and so much going on. Whereas with Gallywix it just feels like, I don't know, there's not a lot super exciting or fun going on here. But it's still a pretty good boss. You know, there is some fun stuff going on here. It just feels like there should have been, like one mechanic should have been changed into a different mechanic, or one more mechanic should have been added, or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, it looks cool though. Cool ass mount. I wish I would get it. So yeah, Gallywix, I think you could go in the B tier. Yeah, it kind of makes my tier list just look like a middle finger. And you might be saying, well, that means your tier list overall is kind of bottom heavy, which could be a good thing, depending on, you know, it's moving on. Oh wait, hold on. I just realized I was supposed to add this. Hold on. Liberation of Undermine. There we go. Okay. I'm just adding another thing here. If I can switch it back. Now we're going to rate the raid overall. So this is where the final hot take, the big hot take, the hotter take than putting sticks in not D tier is. There's straight part of me that's thinking of doing this. That would be crazy. But it would make the tier, it would maybe make the tier list look a little more even. I mean, again, if I was in on Prague, it might be like this. I don't know. But don't worry about the details. Okay, so the raid itself. This is where the hot take comes in. I think I like Nurura Palace more. Overall, mechanically, the raid itself, I think I like Nurura Palace more. Nexus Princess Kaiveza helps, because of course that's just a banner, a really good boss. The first 4 bosses, I think, are relatively the same level. There's nothing really amazing or bad there, but like I think there's not really anything. Again, the first half is relatively comparable in terms of how good the bosses are, but I think I actually like the first half of Nurura Palace a little more. I think like Rashnan's a little more fun than, and then there's no boss that I think I don't like kind of like Rick Reverb. And like this guy who, honestly, yeah, maybe I should put him there. I don't know. And then I maybe this is crazy. I actually think now that I have some time and stuff to compare it to, I like Silken Court more than Mugsy, and I like Queen Ansarek more than Gallywix, but quite a bit. I think Queen Ansarek's actually like pretty damn good of a boss. And of course, the last 4 bosses are what matters the most. And the fact that I like the penultimate boss more, not by a lot, but I do think I like Silken Court more. Actually, no, I think I put Silken Court in like B tier, as opposed to D. I think I actually like Silken Court quite a bit more, honestly, than Mugsy. Queen Ansarek I like quite a bit more than Gallywix as well. And then I like Nexus Princess Kaiveza way more than frickin' One Arm Bandit, or I guess Styx or Sprocket. And then Brew Twister is the only stinker there. But honestly, I didn't even hate Brew Twister. The part that made Brew Twister suck was it's a weak aura boss. Beyond that, I didn't think Brew Twister was terrible, but I mean, so much of the terribleness, the weak aura-ness, I mean, that's just, no one likes a weak aura boss. Brew Twister sucked because of that, but we're not talking about that. So the fact that so many of the later bosses I like more, and those are the bosses that you're spending the most time on, kind of means I kind of have to rate New Rhubarb Palace higher overall. I don't know if I put New Rhubarb Palace as B or A tier, but again, my overall cutting-edge, high-end rain experience isn't super vast, so I don't have a lot to compare it to. Dragonflight, I rated some Mythic, but it wasn't with the cutting-edge guilds, like mid-core Mythic. Do like half the rain on Mythic, and then everyone would fall off. Which is part of the reason the War Within, I'm like, I want to go hard. So, and this fight, I do feel one thing is Liberation of Undermine has a little more spec variety. You know, you could see Affliction, Demo, Destruction. You can see all the specs there, which that's cool. You just want to show off your 100 parse on Galaxy. Yeah, so what? Maybe a little, but it is mainly cool how I can switch specs a lot in this raid. New Rhubarb Palace, you could, honestly, a fair bit, but it was a little more. It was a little less. I think I actually looked at all destruction parses on New Rhubarb Palace, but I think that was more just personal preference. Like, you couldn't really play like Affliction as much, for example, but that doesn't matter as much to me. But it is one small point that Undermine has going for it. Is there's you know, you could swap between like One Arm Bandit, for example. You can very much play Destruction or Affliction, especially now. Same with Cauldron, even Styx, Vexy, Galix. You're mostly playing Destro, maybe a little Demo. This guy is basically only Destruction, so I don't know. Maybe there isn't as much spec variety. And I just chose to have more variety this raid. I'm putting, again, very long line in the middle of the damn tier list. Doesn't make it look as cool. I'm actually just going to do this to make people mad, and to make the tier list look a little better. Yeah, I think I like New Rhubarb Palace more. The version of Undermine is a good raid. But One Arm Bandit and Muggsy just bring it down a lot, and Rick Reverb a little, because these two bosses, again, I'm debating here. I think C tier. I'm only putting in C tier because because Affliction damage and whatnot. I think that's actually the only reason. There's a little bias there, and the grazing mechanics are kind of fun, and the last phase is kind of hectic and neat, somewhat. But yeah. At the end of the day, when two of the last bosses spend most time on are not as good, that's going to bring the raid down a little bit. But at least Galabix is pretty good, and I kind of welcome a last boss, of course, being not insanely hard. Answer, I didn't like Answer because she was harder. I liked it because I just liked fight mechanically more. So, yeah, I think that's basically everything. 28 minutes. I never understand how I can just talk for this long to nobody about this stuff. But yeah, that's gonna be my tier list for Undermine. I will say raid at this high level was definitely a new experience. It is pretty nice because the raid, you know, it's over so much quicker. Sure, you're going so hard for like a month and a half, 2 months, but then the tier's over so much quicker, and it's just like, oh, you can relax. Which at that point it did make it sound like it's kind of a job, which I was getting pretty burned out at the end there. But then after that, farm is just so much easier and whatnot. So that's not really related to the raid itself, but just kind of a personal thing. On my personal raiding journey. So I'm curious how the last raid of the War Within will stack up against this, because it is really kind of fun. Once you're actually getting Mythic Rain under your belt, it's like, wow, I wonder which raid I will consider the best in the War Within of the three. I'm hoping I'll be able to be in on every boss on the last raid, and again, it was only this boss I wasn't fully in on, but I am hoping I'll be able to experience every boss. Hopefully, it's a good raid. It's pretty much guaranteed. It's an ethereal void themed raid, so get ready to see lots of purple again in all likelihood. I just hope it's not like everything's purple. And New Rhubarb Palace was already pretty purple, pretty purple. So Hopefully they do some cool stuff with the with ethereal theme stuff. One thing I'll say that's like I'll bet money on this. They're definitely gonna pull what was that one boss's name? They're definitely gonna do what they did with sorry, my nose is itching, but it's itching on the inside, and obviously I can't itch there. So, you know, you've been there. You've been there. I think they're definitely gonna pull an Artificer Zymox, and he's gonna be in kind of like how Nexus Princess Kai Vezza. This guy was in on the first raid of Shadowlands, and then he was in on the last. I'm very confident they're doing that again, but with Nexus Princess Kai Vezza. It just makes sense. She went away. She left. She's an ethereal, voidy ethereal. Also, everyone likes the boss. I'm very confident they're gonna bring her. This boss is gonna be in the next raid as well. If not that, just an NPC, maybe a friendly NPC somehow. I don't know, but I wouldn't think so because they were just fodder. So, but yeah, that's just a random bet I'm gonna make. The Nexus Princess Kai Vezza will be a boss in the third raid as well, and it'll be like a remixed version of the New Royal Palace variant. Anyways, that's Liberation of Undermine. I'm gonna go get milk, so I'll see you again in like 5 months, and you have a good one. Oh, right when the background music stopped. Excellent.